Hello, I'm Tom Morgan, Microsoft MVP and community reporter for Microsoft Ignite 2019. I'm joined today by Susan Hanley. Susan, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Sue Hanley, also a Microsoft MVP and a former community reporter for Ignite.
Brilliant. So I really want to talk to you because you were one of the top rated speakers at Ignite last year. So as an experienced speaker, by the numbers, a very good experienced speaker, I wanted to get your insights for people putting their sessions together at the moment, because we're 30-something days away from Ignite, just less than that now. I think we're into the 20s. So first of all, I mean, you are delivering some sessions. Let's talk about those first, actually. So you're delivering 2 sessions.
I am.
So, and they're both kind of quite different as well, aren't they? So the first one is it's a breakout, right? So it's about the key. It's called The Key to Internet Success is People, how to keep people at the center of your digital workplace initiatives. Do you want to talk a little bit about that without giving too much away, but be just kind
Sure.
of why people should go and what's interesting?
Yeah, so I'm a business analyst at heart and an information architect, and I'm not super technical. I mean, I've become more so. And so I've spent my entire career focused on helping regular people, not IT people, but regular people adopt technology. And so one of the things I've really learned is how important it is to understand people and what their business values and goals and objectives are. And really, that's what this session is all about, how to make sure that you're keeping the right, as my dad likes to say, the emphasis on the right syllable as you're planning and designing your digital experiences.
Superb. And you're also doing a theatre session with kind of tips around SharePoint. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's very, they are really actually very much related. So first I'm really talking about strategic things. And then in the 20-minute theater sessions, I really want to focus on taking all that knowledge you've learned about people and how they work and what they really need to know and apply that to the pages that you create, either the news stories that you write or the pages that you create, and how can you organize and how can you organize them? How can you write them more effectively so they deliver the message? And that's really what this is all about. It's sort of the things that I've learned in working in this space for a really long time, and with communications and sites in particular, from literally the day that they were launched. How do you create an engaging and meaningful user experience to keep people at the center of your pages as well?
Right, got it. So if transitioning slightly then from the sessions you're delivering to people thinking about putting their sessions together, is that people thread, does that run all the way through, like your advice for people putting sessions together?
Sure. And just so you know, I mean, I think that I have benefited significantly from speaker coaching. So in previous years, Microsoft has offered people a 1-hour coaching session to prep for their sessions. And I've been the beneficiary of that 1 hour about 4 different times. And I've really learned how to hone my speaking skills from a lot of the coaching that I've been given from, professional coaches. So, and the year that I was number 1 and number 6, was I had a coach who really helped me sort of target my message. And so I give her a lot of credit as well. So yeah. So I think if you have an opportunity, my number 1 tip is if you have an opportunity to get coaching or to review some of the materials that Microsoft has put together, you got to take a look at it because there are a lot of really great insights. But if I could sort of share the number 1 tip that I learned from the 2 different coaches I've had from Microsoft, it's really to start off not with the blah, blah, here's who I am, here's my personal history, here's a picture of my family. Start out with an anecdote or a story to help the audience connect with you and with the topic that you're about to present. In other words, they're sitting there. Think about if you were sitting there. This is what I think about this constantly when I'm putting together a session. I'm the one sitting in the chair facing the speaker. How am I going to, what are they going to say that will get me engaged right away and keep me listening to what they have to say? So thinking about sort of what is a key problem or a problem that you share that you want to then address in your presentation, or a challenge, or if you've got a really good joke that you can tell effectively that relates to the topic and isn't going to offend anyone, those are really great too. But the idea is to get the audience on your side immediately by you going to their side. And I think that if that's the number one thing, that's really for me the number one thing I've learned, is to start with the message, not with me. And as Richard Cleese told me, you can introduce yourself. That doesn't mean don't say, hi, I'm Sue Hanley. I'm a business analyst and information architect, and here's where I live, or whatever. You can absolutely say that, but jump right into the problem statement. And for example, I was doing a sessions on intranets, that may be like a topic I'm pretty familiar with. And what they suggested I say to start out is, I consult with clients on intranets for a living, and I've seen your intranet, and your users are not happy. Something like that. I wasn't totally comfortable with saying things like that. This is what their suggestion to me, because I don't want to start with something negative saying you're bad, I'm good. But what the message was is try to get the audience on your side so they're really engaged and interested in what you have to say. And that opening statement is really a promise. And you want to make sure that you're going to keep your promise. The other thing, so that's the opener. The other thing that I never did before I had coaching was to close it with a call to action. So you do the summary at the end of your presentation so that your listeners don't have to. So here's the things I want you to remember when you get back to work tomorrow morning. Or here's a reminder, here's the key takeaways. Here's what I talked about that I want to make sure that we all remember, and then list them out. So in other words, you really want to engage them along the way with stories and anecdotes. You want to welcome them in to the presentation with something that brings you together with your audience, and you want to wrap it up at the end with here's what you can do next.
Wow, that's really cool. And so when you put together your session, do you practice? How do you do you practice the whole thing end to end? Do you practice bits? How do you practice?
All right. So I don't know. I have a personal style things. That's something that works for me. I literally write down every single word that I think I'm going to say. I don't use those words, but for me, I speak and write in a very similar way. And so the reason I write everything down is so that I understand, why is that slide here? What does that image have to do with my topic? And so that I can make a transition between the slides. So I literally write down everything I'm going to say on the slide. Then I go back and I take the three main points that I want to say about that slide, and I put them at the top of what would have been a script that I'm not going to read. The script is for me, so I in my head can talk the entire presentation. And because I have a tendency not to breathe, the other thing I learned from the coach is to take a breath. And the reminder tip that they taught me was on those words where I want to stop and pause, those emphasis words, put them in all caps. So I don't have a lot of speaker notes. I have some reminders of things, key points to hit, and the breathing points, which is the word that's in all caps. So I do that, and then I do practice. Honestly, I don't practice out loud as much as I should, except for the 20-minute talks, because those are so hard to time. But I will, in my head, speak out, or sometimes if no one's around in the house, I will read everything. I must speak everything the way I would do it, mostly to practice the timing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the timing's it's important. It's one extra thing you don't want to be worrying about, isn't it? Like, if you know your timing's down already, you're not trying to mentally calculate in your head what you add or take away. Absolutely.
Right. The other tip that I use is I always reach out to someone who's sitting in the front row, and I bond with them first. And I ask them to be my timer, even though often in places like Ignite, there'll be a countdown clock. And I ask them to wave at me when there's 10 minutes left. So number one, it gives me a friend. Because the other thing I do is I always, as I'm speaking, because I don't read my slides, I just talk and tell stories. I look for people who are nodding and smiling, and they become my people. And I try to find people on both sides of the room. So I can keep coming back to them to get some reassurance that I'm not, sort of standing there with no reaction, or that this is why I hate doing webinars, because you don't get any people feedback. So I really look for those people to give me the confidence that I'm on the right track. And if they look confused, that usually means I have to do something to clarify, to kind of change up the pace.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And the thing about breathing definitely resonates. I'm definitely guilty of doing it. I think I'm worried. I'm scared of silence, but actually, silence, when done right, is really powerful, because it forces people to. It seems like you're giving them content. You need to give their brains time to catch up, and also it's a good, like, finish a paragraph, start a new one. It seems like it's good.
Well, the other thing to remember at a conference like Ignite is not everyone will be a native English speaker. This is it's a worldwide event. So for me, I get super excited about what I'm talking about, which makes me talk even faster than my normal super fast voice. And that is my biggest challenge every time I speak, is to slow down, not just to get those pauses and to give people time to think, but also because somebody in that room is processing every word I say and translating it. And to be fair and respectful of everyone, I want to be very careful, especially when I know I've got a global audience, to just speak slower.
Very true. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. I mean, that's been so useful. Thank you so much. I think we're going to close by taking some of that. We're going to close with a call to action, which is go to, if that sounded interesting, if you sound like you would like to listen to a session delivered by somebody who clearly knows how to put them together, go to the session builder, look up these sessions. If you're going to Ignite, or you can catch them they'll be recorded. They're also going to be live streamed as well this year, which is amazing. So thank you ever so much. Really, really useful. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. This was really fun. And good luck as a community reporter. It is a ton of work, but so much fun. So
thank you. Thanks.